Welcome back to On Right Podcast. Here you have Elijah alongside Grant. We're going to dive right into Michigan football. It's game week. Michigan versus TCU. First game of the college football playoffs kicking off the 31st at 4 p.m. I believe, down in Arizona. I'm super excited for the game. Ready to see the boys go out there and play. I'm kind of going to throw it over to you. Just wanted to see what your initial thoughts are. When we're Wolverines versus the Horned Frogs here.
Yeah. No, I say initial thoughts are positive. I feel like these last few weeks felt like forever for some reason, but I'm glad, game week's finally here. But I'll say overall, I'm just glad to see where our team is at. Watching a lot of the, press conferences and like Harbaugh's interviews kind of during this week, and everybody just seems very locked in and just, still having, I love hearing about how last year's loss is like heavy on the mind. It's been heavy on the mind for the last year. So I'm just excited to just hear about the team just really wanting to, come in this time around and really put their stamp on the playoff. And I think they have a really good opportunity to do so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just listening to, like you're saying, listening to them, I keep hearing just common words. This is a business trip, no fun, locking in. I heard a lot of the players are, opting out of things that aren't mandatory involving the bowl itself. Just kind of more of a blue collar mentality when approaching this. And, I like everything about that. So,
right.
I think, the experience of last year, I'm not sure what percentage of the team it came back, but I'm sure it's a very large percent year over year. They've seen the spotlight last year in the college football playoffs, kind of got the brakes beat off them more or less a little bit. Now they can come back a little more hungry. It's not, you don't have to come in as wide-eyed. You've been there before, and now it can be taken more serious. And, some of the awe of it can be taken away because you've been there before. And now it's time to actually, win a game and kind of that next hurdle and get over that next thing. That's kind of what I'm looking for the team to do. Go out there and just fight for it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think good place to start is to kind of talk about the offensive side of the ball. Just kind of pick your brain at it first. What are you, looking at when it comes to major keys? I mean, obviously you watch Michigan play a ton of football this year to probably kind of understand what they're going to be doing, what the goal is going to be on offense. But, what are you looking to see? What do you think will be the keys to success?
Yeah, no, I think it starts with, the big boys up front, the number one offensive line unit, again, for back-to-back seasons, very hard to do. A couple of All-Americans on there with the first or second team. So, I think just leaning on them big boys up front, hopefully, right before we hopped on, we were talking about the possibility of TCU staying in the 3-3-5 for majority of the game. And I think that would be a dream come true for us. And I think regardless, you have to lean on the big boys up front. And just a couple of stats here. TCU gives up 150 rushing yards on the ground, so more or less, but we average 243 on the ground. So I think we are going to impose our will, and it starts with them up front. Play action, our big plays downfield. A lot of that is going to come through flowing through the offensive line in Donovan Edwards, and even JJ on the ground, if he can get some things. Nothing else to save yourself for now at this point.
Right.
To go out there and lay it all on the line, and he has been doing that, as you noticed. Late November college football championship game, he's been taking off a little more. So, those are all things that I think we need. Other than the timely throws, obviously, whether JJ throws for 300 yards or not, I think we can win. But he has to hit the timely throws when we need them. Third downs, when it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, whatever it may be. He has to hit those. He has to stress the defense to some degree, hit a couple of them, 20, 25 plus yards, and just give them something to think about. But if he can do that, the game is ours.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that's going to be a key, because I feel like I think what I just kind of imagine happening is really just, it's establishing a run per usual, right? Just really, and maybe not throwing it unless we really need to kind of start things off. But you're right, when it comes to those, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, we'll definitely see a couple of those. throughout the game. So he needs to either hit people, right in the chest, make the right read. Because I will say that 3-3-5 is more built to like cover all the field, and just more to like defend the pass. And the secondary, TCU secondary is solid. If I'm not mistaken, they have a Jim Thorpe Award winner. Yeah, I think he's a corner or a safety. He won that. I just read some stuff about how well they tackle in space and just they cover well. They don't. They do a good job of kind of keeping everything in front of them. So I think, I feel like we are gonna, just do what we do and just, kind of build our identity on the ground. Run the ball 40, 50, 55 times, whatever it takes. But when JJ's number is called, to make that key play to keep a drive alive, or whatever that situation looks like, he's just got to make sure to stay within himself and just continue to do what he's been doing. Not turn the ball over. Make the smart read. The last few weeks before this break, he was hitting people on the money. I know his confidence is getting up in the passing game, and just continue to do what he does and not extend too much out of himself.
Right. Yeah. No. Limit the negative plays, and the game can be ours. That's a major thing for him. But I think we're seeing him come into his own, and this could be one of those games where he can really slingshot himself into whatever competition that may be, whether it's future NFL quarterback or best Big Ten quarterback or, one of the better Michigan quarterbacks of all time. I think all that can happen if you win this game here. And he still has a lot of football left to go. But I think also him being thrown into the Wolves last year, I think he made a few things happen. He also got hit in the mouth a lot. But I think, that Georgia defense was much more stout than whatever he's going to see this coming up weekend versus TCU, and he has 13 some odd games under his belt of more composure and experience. So, we're in a great spot here.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like it's one of those situations where backfield a little banged up. They got us all the way to this point. I'm not saying got to throw it all on his shoulders, but it is kind of turns with them scenarios where. It's really just kind of on his shoulders to make that play. They're going to do, I'm sure they're going to try to do what Ohio did and just, put 8, 9, 10 in the box and, might see a couple zero blitz, cover zero blitz and, just doing some, stuff to where they were just trying to put us in third and medium, third and long. And that's where he's going to have to shine how he did the last, couple weeks of the regular season. And I think he will.
So that was something that I wrote in my little comment section here, was, the video that was dropped into, our group chat. And that was I believe, Sonny Dykes, the coach, saying, we're going to basically go full force sellout on the run and try to stop the run. That's almost, seeing what happened to Ohio State, I would think, I would think that's almost like kind of like blowing smoke almost. Like I can't imagine that's actually their real game plan to that degree.
Yeah.
If you're going to be the first team to go out and attempt it, maybe you can say that. But if you seen what a rival did, a perennial powerhouse, and that completely backfired and blew up in their face, I can't imagine you're going to roll out and do it the next week, a couple weeks down the road. So that's something that kind of stood out to me. Another thing, just to kind of, and I know we have a couple other points, but another thing was how many close games they had. And, a lot of people are saying, they can pull it out in the end, and that might be something that that's true. But I look at it it could be a negative. I think it said they had 6 games decided by 7 points in each game. So a touchdown game, and that's a big swing from barely making the playoffs to maybe a 9-3 season to where you are now. Obviously we had a few type game or two that was tougher than it needed to be in there, but week in and week out, we went out and put the boot down more or less. And,
right.
we didn't crawl through the season. So that's something else that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, because I was going to actually bring up that same thing. I mean, you look at some of those wins. They were down like 24-7. Oklahoma State, who was ranked at the time, but they came back and won that double overtime. Oklahoma State finished the season 6-6. You look at Kansas State. Kansas State, they were already to their backup quarterback when they played TCU earlier in the year. TCU still found a way to get down 10. Then the backup quarterback got hurt. They had to bring in the third string, and that's where they started to kind of mount their comeback. even that Texas game. I mean, we talked where we jumped on here. A lot of people are trying to, say that we're just like we're mirrored to Texas. Like they think we're just like Texas, and that team, that's a 7-5 football team. They play tomorrow night at like 9. And that is another scenario to where another one to even throw out there was how they had to like beating Baylor. Baylor played a week and a half ago, 6-6 football team. They had to literally run their field goal unit out with like under 10 seconds left in the game to kick a field goal to win that game by 2. So,
yeah,
I'm confident in Michigan just like you are, and you kind of hear those things, how they've been kind of keeping things close. They've also been getting kind of lucky. So I think I am confident that if we just do what we need to do and just stay out of our own way, we should be able to handle business on the offensive side.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think yeah, offensive side is something that it's odd that I feel I do kind of agree with you that I feel a little more confident in that unit than I do in the defensive unit. Just seeing how I think the clash of the two different conferences, clash of identities, and what you kind of believe in, and kind of the root of who you are, or couldn't be night and day compared. Our Big Ten compared down to their conference down there, it's just night and day. So
right.
I don't know how you feel about the defense. Kind of what are what are the keys to going out there? How much confidence do you have in that unit? Kind of how do you see that game playing out?
Yeah, I mean they got some players over there. They got a running back. I think he's had a rushing touchdown in every single game this season, 1,300 yards. He's projected first, late first, second round pick as of right now. I know they wait on every opportunity to try to unleash him and see what he can do. I feel like we should be able to, keep the run, kind of like bottle that up. I think the thing that concerns me more than anything is Max Duggan, how he can run. I remember we played Maryland. We were there live. Granted, Tua probably a little quicker, a little smaller, a little harder to get a hold of, but we did have some issues with that. He was able to keep plays alive. That was really the last close game we had. Besides the Illinois game, but he was able to extend drives, extend plays. They pretty much able to get up and down the field. I think as far as that, we'll just have to limit like we just said to JJ, extending drives on 3rd and long. I don't know how their plans of spying them, whatever that kind of looks like. I saw that we were repping RJ Moten at linebacker all week this week, so I don't know if that's maybe a plan. Usually plays safety. I don't know if they plan on maybe just having him kind of be down there, just more athleticism from the secondary standpoint to kind of be a little more in that box. But that, and then they got speed. It's Big 12. The one thing they do have speed. They got 6'4" receiver. That can go up and get a jump ball. That tends to kind of be our kryptonite, here and there. And they also got, a guy that runs like a 4.2 that I've seen take jet sweep 75 yards a couple different times. Now, granted, these are against, some defenses, not the greatest defenses. We got a top 5 defense, so I do feel like we're prepared to, bottle some of this stuff up. But all it takes is a couple of deep plays or a couple of big plays to kind of swing the momentum of a game.
Right. Yeah, no. So I would say going through the gauntlet of the Big Ten, you see many different types of offenses, many different teams built different ways. You got Maryland, like you said, Tua back there, slinging it all over the place, can run when he needs to, have athletes, good athletes around. Then you go play, Penn State, big ass quarterback, fairly mobile, athletes all over. Then just week in and week out, you're testing. And Purdue try to throw the ball for. Did move the ball on us a decent amount, but it was more of a bend don't break mentality. We got to turn the ball over, or we got to turnover.
Made him kick field goals.
We made him look out of sync at times. Disrupted and sacked their quarterback many times. So I think that's the kind of thing that we have to mirror, is just take all that experience throughout the season and hone in on this. But I think this defense is very battle tested. I'll say that. And just looking at this, I forgot what I wrote down. TCU has been sacked 24, given up 24 sacks on offense this year. That's something that I think is something I can see us using to our advantage. Getting back to that quarterback, disrupting them, and yeah, they're going to move the ball on us a little bit. Just try to limit the big plays, limit the ridiculous, 50, 60-yard bombs. And I think we'll be able to keep them out of sync enough to where it kind of mirrors that Purdue game where maybe he's putting up yards to a certain degree, but they're empty calorie yards. They're not doing much. They're already behind 14, 17 points, and we're just letting them throw it around, move the ball.
Right.
And that's kind of how I envision this happening. They're star-studded. I mean, not star-studded, but athletes all over, speed all over. Watching our highlight tape, they do look phenomenal. But I think it is, like you said, more of who are you playing week in and week out. And I don't think their receiver core is better than Ohio State's. And I know their running backs not better than some of the ones we played in the Big Ten. So I think our defensive line can win this one for us with disrupting the quarterback, getting them down, getting them in awkward positions, whether it's them second and longs, third and longs, and where we can make them completely one dimensional.
Yeah. Yeah, for what it's worth too, man. I mean, I think something that's not really talked about a whole lot because everybody kind of benefits from it is health. I mean, now we got Mike Morris back. I think he was the lead, leading the team in sacks. So looking forward to just kind of seeing him coming off that edge. And our defense, like you said, they're battle tested. They had our backs against the wall. I mean, we had to block field goals in Indiana. We was chasing Talia, Tagovailoa all over the field. Had to go to the shoe and see, one of the top quarterbacks in next year's draft. And then, we've seen, like you said, you hit it right on the head. We've seen everything. So I just think it's a matter of just not, just staying in what we do and just not getting, just not falling for window dressing. 'Cause that's one thing that happens in a lot of these games too. People start doing triple reverses, whatever kind of looks like to just, quarterback, running back pass, wide receiver pass, whatever they can kind of do to get an advantage. And I feel like if we just continue to play that, aggressive, bend but don't break defense, we should be able to keep them in check for the most part.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think something I wrote down was avoid. Man, that's the dog here. Shut up. Avoid the track meet and make it more of a street fight. And just kind of mark it all up. We're not going to be able to if it's getting into the 60s. That's something that we have no business in. I think just kind of make it a street fight, dirty it up, slow it up with the run game. Impose our will. I was looking. I think we're just they have some big boys on there. I'm not gonna lie. When looking, I thought we were just gonna be much bigger across the board. We are not like I thought we would be, but we are bigger across the board. We play more physical.
Got Ben Herbert.
Yeah.
X Factor. That's a Harbaugh saying.
Yeah,
X Factor.
No, I agree with you, bro. Yeah, I think just leaning in on all of that. I think I'm just gonna jump out and say I think I see Michigan in the championship game. So.
Yeah. I don't think many would disagree with you. I think it's really just we just got to make sure we go in there, we play our game, and not get in our own way. I think that's just at the end of the day, what it is, pretty clear, cut and dry. I feel like like I said earlier, like JJ, this is really just, gotta be his coming out party. Like I know he's been starting the season. You know what I'm saying? Kind of been working him in. Trust him more and more as the week goes on, but. Yeah, I think we have an opportunity he has a perfect opportunity to just continue to do what he's been doing the last few weeks and just play some high level football. And just seeing how he's been, talking, just responding to a lot of different things. I feel like that's really, at the end of the day, it's going to be on his shoulders. So.
It is. And you're not lying about that. Just the way he's been eased in, he played big moments last year. They met the last season. Arguably maybe had a play that cost us first Michigan State. Came in, made timely plays versus Ohio State, got the dub. played a little bit of real time, mostly cleanup duty versus Georgia, like I mentioned earlier. I think he's just been very well, eased into this, and now it is time. And I think, like you said, if he just does exactly what he has been doing, and we get the job, the sky's the limit for him. And so I view that, and just in a couple other things. Loveland, I think he's going to continue to, he'll have another come out party. That snag in the end zone in the Big Ten championship, double coverage. I think his head is probably huge walking around, the confidence he has as a freshman. Kind of stealing Shoemaker's shine. Eric Hall's already gone. So, I think he's kind of, he knows this is his spot. He can continue to shine. And the same thing with other people. I think Ronnie Bell has had the depths of the team, or been with the team through the depths of hell. Tore his Achilles first game last year. I think he's hungry for more. I think so. There's all that rolled into one. I think we're a force to be reckoned with, bro. Like, for real.
Then we got the Don.
Yeah.
And I already know I went on record a couple of times. This ain't no disrespect to Blake, because he is who he is. I just Donovan, I just think he got a whole different level, man. I mean, I feel like, what they called, a 60-yard touchdown last year, threw a 75-yard touchdown last year, 4, 5, 6 plays of 50 yards or more this year, caught 3, 4, touchdowns this year, ran in about 4 or 5 more. He said, he's shown that as the game, it kind of, that our whole identity works in his favor as the game starts to go on and on. I just seeing him get a 2-yard game, 1-yard game, 4-yard game, 5-yard game, and then come mid, third, late fourth quarter, he's busting off 50, 60 yarders, making people look foolish. And I do expect to have, him to have a big game, 20, 25 carries, and really, trying to ride him that first half and just kind of set things up for the rest of the games. That's somebody I do think will have a big game, have a big college football playoff as well.
No, I agree. He is one of those guys. He has to get his carries in chunks so he can make something happen. Because if you just give him a few carries here and there, you might catch one of them 60-yarders, but probably not. I do think he's a momentum back, and if they're going to be foolish enough to stay in that 3-3-5, I think he won't even be getting touched. He's 6-7 yards downfield. So and then after that, you've seen what he can do one-on-one with the linebacker, with the safety, anybody a little bit slow on their feet, or nails to the ground. He might be to the distance there. So it's I don't know. And also, I think with this much time, there's no telling what Harbaugh can cook up. There's no telling what little tricks they may have, and we have a lot. I don't know, a lot of momentum, bro. I really want to come out here talking more crazy than this, but I'm trying to.
No, I feel you. I think too, just like I talked about earlier, you just love the mentality, love what you're hearing from the team. They're opting out of a lot of things. On the flip side, I've been looking at TCU social media a little bit. They showing off the new gear they got for Christmas, and no knock to them. Much respect. Definitely respect the opponent. You can just tell one of them.
They showing off the stocking stuffers.
You said what?
You said they're showing off the stocking stuffers.
Yeah. One of the advantages though is being there for the first time and being there for the second time. Like, that really just I'm sure they coach do whatever he can do to, get them ready too. But I just, when it comes to, Michigan, I do feel like they understand, what this situation is, what this moment is, and, what they can potentially do. So I just feel like they'll be prepared. So we'll throw a couple of score predictions.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I do think, like I said before, I do think they'll be able to move the ball a little bit, whether some empty calorie yards, empty calorie points near the end of the game. But all in all, I think it's going to be, I'll give it a 40-27 game.
Okay.
I think Michigan to come out, just have one of those games where I think we'll get the momentum early, and then get the business that way. That's kind of get it. Let the dogs loose early, and then sit back and watch it happen. So, 40-27.
Yeah, I'm right now, world. I'm doing more. I'm probably like a 37-24. I feel like, first quarter, we'll get their best punch. I could see us definitely going into half, 20-17, whatever that kind of looks like. And I think that second half is, that'll be real telling because they do a great job of coming back when they're down. We do a good job of, drowning people and, taking the life out of them in that second half. So it'd be interesting to see how both those, how those different things kind of clash in that second half. But I do think we'll a little closer to what people think. I think it'll be like a 10 to 13 point game.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I agree. I'm excited for this game this weekend.
Yep.
Ready to see a little bit of taste of the championship. Get through this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sky's the limit. So I agree.
Yeah.
You got anything else for the people?
That's all I got, man. Go blue. Hopefully we're back with y'all next week talking about the national championship game.
Yes, sir. Go blue.